What's up, guys? I am at the Vortex area of Santos Trail, and I have my Salsa Timberjack today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 29-inch wheels that I swapped to and my impressions on it. This is a disclaimer. It's coming from somebody wildly inexperienced, but there were some pretty obvious things that I noticed. So first of all, let's get to the bike. So it's a 2019 Salsa Timberjack. Used to have the 27.5 pluses, and a buddy gave me these ARC 24 wheels. They have the DT Swiss 350 hubs, if I'm even saying that right. And this is what I had to do to get it to fit. I had my local bike shop, Santos Bike Shop, these alternators. They had alternator dropout. Now they ordered me alternator through axle. So I got the alternators for each side, an axle, actually all of the hardware switched over, except the brake disc that came on this rim was too big, so I had to swap the one from the 27.5 plus onto here, and then boom, everything fit. I didn't even have to adjust the chain. Everything worked perfect. I just got done with an early morning ride, and it was great. And actually this had a through axle on the front, so that just swapped on immediately. The only other upgrade I've really done is the dropper post. I got the Fox transfer on there, which I highly recommend for anybody doing anything rough or jump wise. Next thing will be some pedals with some spikes on it because it's muddy and I'm slipping off. Even though I got my SCG bike shoes, they can't grip on this. I mean, it's nasty. So all that being said, one of the first things I noticed is immediately when I took off, it seemed like it rolled farther easier. You know what I mean? The diameter of the tire is bigger, so therefore the amount of input you put in gets you a farther roll. So it seemed to roll easier. It also seemed to roll over things easier, roots, rocks, bumps. It would keep momentum going a little longer. So also the entire bike got longer. I mean, the overall dimensions of the bike were longer, and I noticed when I put it in the bed of my truck, it was up against my bed cover instead of having a little gap in it. The back tire was up against it because I put it over the tailgate. So immediately it was longer, and you notice it. The bike feels a little taller, but not uncomfortably so, and it's just, overall the dimensions are wider. The tire looks skinnier, so that's a little weird. But I guess one thing I didn't notice was any grip issues in regular circumstances, but what I did notice was grip issues when going uphill. So as far as I can tell, the rear end is essentially longer, even though your point of contact is the same. Everything is longer, so I was having to get my butt off of the seat more and over the wheel more in order to get enough traction to get up hills. And that's just because something I would ride normally, it would be sliding on the way up. Now it is very wet this morning, so that might have a little bit to do with it. I believe these Maxxis tires are quite a bit grippier. The knobs are a little bigger. The 27.5 plus has a wider contact patch, but the knobs are smaller. They're not as pronounced. What I haven't got into yet is some flowy trails where I'm doing some real hard lean overs. Not that I lean over that hard, but that's what I'll be testing next. Because I rode Hardy Road trails up in Wilmington, New York, something like that, upstate New York, and I was on a 29er of my buddies there, and me and that bike just clicked. I'm like, man, this is great. So I couldn't wait to get the 29s on here, and honestly, I'm really impressed so far. I'm really happy. It does seem to track a little differently. Again, it's not in a negative way. It's just a little more. It's a little less forgiving. You have to kind of point it where you want a little more. But when you do, it's absolutely fine. I feel like it tracks a little better. So then the other thing I kind of notice is if I'm getting stuck on a uphill or rooty something or another, I would get a little bit of, seems like a little bit more wheel flex. Now these are much lighter wheels than the factory 27.5 pluses. So they might do that a little more just because they're lighter components, this and that, but I'm sure it's stronger because they're much better wheels. But so I would notice a little side flex if I'd catch something. I could feel it like twisting a little bit, but nothing that ever felt like it was going to break something. It was just one of my observations. So I guess that's my overall impression, is when you have the 29ers versus the 27.5 plus, you have to be a lot more almost deliberate, but almost exaggerated with your movements. The 27.5 plus, I think, is a little more forgiving, a little more even playful. This is a little more purposeful, but has a lot more potential as you grow as a rider. So again, that's my next goal, is to work on, you know, more body English, getting the bike over, pointing the knees in the direction of the corner, focusing on those things, like utilizing these outer knobs to really grip into a turn, which I'm just now exploring. Like I know the philosophy, but I can't put it into practice yet. So, you know, if you're considering going from a 27.5 plus to 29, you know, I say do it, but also I have it to where I can switch back to the 27.5 plus if I don't like this. I can just swap the alternators. Now, these alternators ran about 30 something a piece, and the axle is probably close to the same. And they also gave me a parts kit because they weren't quite sure if I would need it or not, and it was an extra $10, and I said, yeah, absolutely, go with it. But it's you know, nut and washer, kind of like this and this, like these guys here. I did not end up needing that parts kit, but the total was like $116 for everything that I needed to put this rear wheel on, and at any point I can switch it back. I mean, it's a little bit of work. It'll take you 20-30 minutes, but I think that's worth it for me. I mean, there were free wheels and tires, and then I paid $116 for the hardware to mount this up, and I can switch back at any time. So winner as far as I'm concerned. Can't really think of anything else, but I felt that I had to share my experience because today was the first day going fresh, same bike that I've been riding for a couple years, and you know, had to tell you what it's like to go from 27.5 plus to 29. So hope that helps somebody. Have any questions about it, drop it in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. Until then, catch you on the trails.